forgetting to tell the committee is the only open area right now is North Expansion West. So everything else is capped. So it makes for a rather quiet landfill.
Any questions from the committee?
When you say the smell,
So a garbage smell. So
Okay.
there's two odors that we get. There's the garbage smell, which should smell just like out of your own kitchen trash can.
Yeah.
It's kind of sickly sweet, back of the throat, sour milk. The other smell is the gas, which is the after decomposition. It has more of a definitely decayed odor to it.
okay,
Future
no,
fact.
it was coming from here, not over there.
I am quite sure it was coming from here. Over there has been having a severe gas odor problem.
Okay,
And they operate a lot less landfill right now than Brad does. The wind matched, the working face was open and active, and like I said, and also when Brad tightened things, up, the odor complaint stopped.
But that's not too bad, you know. I mean,
No, it's not. It is if there were 10, I'd check for the next month, but it was 3.
mhm.
So
You said for a quarter.
yeah, and again, that was May, not last week.
Complaints from?
They were all along, yeah.
Or
always
Union Church,
Union
I
Church.
think,
Sorry,
is
I always
that
get
way.
confused which was which.
Sure.
But it was Union Church.
You would almost think that might have been coming from them.
It might have been, but on one of the days I was out here, so so I was around to take
And
a
it
look
was
at
an east wind,
Yeah.
straight east wind? Okay. Because there's a lot of times I come in, get on my pickup, Jesus Christ, does it smell? And I look at the flag
Yep.
or the tree,
Yeah.
yeah.
The flags
From
make
them.
it, the flags make it very easy to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Were they calling? Do they call you, or was this wasn't from our
I never
Franklin
saw a
website
complaint on it.
complaints?
No, it did not. They did not go through Waste Management because they're on the wrong side of the road. But I did tell them in future if they thought they knew where it was coming from, that they could try calling Brad. So that after hours, it goes to a call center for them.
Okay, because
So-
So it went through Muskoge's
Well,
system?
it went through me.
Okay,
Okay.
So it was a direct call to me.
okay,
And I'm sorry, 2 calls, 1 email.
okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Any more on your report?
No, that's
So-
all I have. I mean, both landfills are really boring right now. There's
That's the way we want 'em.
It's daily operations. There's construction going on, but it's not, like I said, it's not something he has to line immediately. The drainage area that's being reconstructed has been awaiting this for. It's more of a convenience for the site operator than it is compliance with the DNR. Yeah, he had a lot of wellheads and so on that were being submerged during storms, and that's all being taken care of.
Okay. And in your packet, you also got a list of the 35 names that are gonna be tested. Okay,
Then those
okay.
then those red lines meant anything or
well, look, yes. How I delineated is the ones that were in red, which are gray on this.
They're gray on
were
here.
the ones that are the ones that are picked. They're yes. They said yes, and they're
We have 254, and it used to be larger, but as the landfill, every time the landfill buys property, we take that well off. Every time the city extends the water supply, we took those wells off. Even if the wells stay, they cease to be the water supply well for that property. So it's semantics, but it does, if the well property. So it's semantics, but it does, if the well's not regularly used, it can have odd constituents in it. And we don't want that for comparison, either on the landfill side or on the residential side. It gives false readings. So we stay with the wells that are regularly used. So it's now down to 254. It might be 255 because out of those that said yes, we use the frequency of the most recent sampling date and how often it has been sampled in the past. And a couple I looked back to see if they had refrigerant in 12 in past hits, because we had this weird dichloromethane hit, both sides of the street, different labs. Never really found an answer for it, but with Davies and their purging, we haven't seen it recover. So, but on a couple of those, there, like the Thaman well and so on, where it had happened in the past, past, I put that one back in when I was down to, you know, it was sampled last year, it's been sampled 5 times, I have 8 of those, which one am I gonna choose? I went with ones that had contaminants in the well before.
Okay.
So you got 35.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good smattering.
Yeah.
As the landfill
Yes.
to the east
Yeah.
and wells to the north. So, you know, every time the landfill gets a little bigger and they own property, those wells come out of the program.
And one of them, I forget, I didn't bring my copy, had a note and there was no note.
Oh, that's probably the one. Oh, that's probably the one new one in there.
Yeah.
Oh, the C notes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
probably me.
for
Okay.
That's for
that's for data
addresses.
administration.
That's for addresses and things. I'm sorry, I
Okay.
didn't realize I was doing that. When is it the owner, I have it off to the side, this got too big, you
Some
can't,
note,
I
okay.
didn't.
All right.
put that
So
on.
when is the well testing?
We'll
That's
set up, now that we got them, all the addresses, we already have Davies online to go and do it, so
Okay.
we just get them the addresses and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. They are from out of town. They're in Wisconsin, but they're not here.
Right.
Not here.
Right.
I think they're out of La Crosse.
Yeah. They stay for a couple days and do all the wells.
Good.
And it takes roughly a month to get back. So usually mid-September, I get the results back from Ryan, and then I deliver them at the November meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Do they actually go into people's houses and they not wait till they gotta be home?
Well, everybody who signs up for this has given a phone number and so on, and depending on where they have access, the best place to access is the wellhead. But you don't want anybody taking your wellhead open. I mean, even if somebody asks me what the best place is, that's what I tell you. But if you were going to my mother's house, I would tell her, don't you open your well.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to take any risk. So you want the next closest tap, which is usually an exterior tap.
Oh.
You know, usually comes up,
Yeah.
branches off back out through the wall,
Mhm.
or it goes to the laundry. So usually they can do it without being there.
Alright.
So they'll heat the tap if they can get, unless it's the kitchen sink.
No, no.
They'll heat the tap, they'll let the water run for 3 to 4 minutes, just like you would purge if you were doing any other well, and then they'll sample. And they take three vials, 2 with HCl in it for organics, and one large container for the inorganics.
Any other questions?
No, it's been working all good all
Yeah.
through the
Mhm.
past, so.
Okay. Not hearing any, do I have a motion to approve Joe's report?
I'll motion to approve.
Second?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Wage units report, Brad.
All right.
You're up.
About the contract, though.
Well, as far as correspondence, I'm gonna add, DNR was actually out here on Monday. Jerry was out here, he did a landfill inspection, and there was nothing to really note on his inspection. He thought everything was
Brad, did you do closed and open, or just?
just open. Yep. Then we got our construction documentation approved by the DNR for our 2020 cover and gas system. We'll kind of actually see that today when we go up there to show you where that was. As far as construction, you guys can see the buildings are down. The berm is probably our next phase that we're gonna be working on, right in the front here on 124th Street. And we're still working on reshaping the area back by the flare. So there's a little bit of work to do back there yet. And then as far as the clay stockpile, we're working on getting that seeded and topsoiled and everything yet this summer. Everything's pretty much going as planned. We moved some We Energies power lines to make way for the berm and keep that out of the way of the construction. But everything's on schedule. We're not really behind on anything, and we should get all those projects done this summer yet. As far as site operations, we're still in 3A, which you'll see today. We'll be in 3A for the foreseeable future. We just completed mowing last week, which is a pretty big undertaking for us, with all the ditches and berms and a couple hundred acres to mow. So we just finished that. We added 2 horizontal collectors in 3A last month as well to help with gas collection. Residential yard has been busy. We ran a report. We're averaging, it's probably a little bit heavier on certain days, but just averaging about 400 residents per day running through that residential yard. So it's a busy place, that's for sure.
That's 400 a day or the
Mhm.
weekend? No, 400.
400 a day. So, yeah, it's
Weekends gotta be.
Saturday's definitely the busiest day usually, but there's a steady stream of cars in there all day, every day, pretty much until right up from the time we open to the time we close. Doesn't really stop.
How's our identification stuff working?
Yeah, the IDs are working fairly well. We still get a little bit of pushback from certain people. Just not wanting their ID scanned or don't have their ID or anything like that. And usually we're kind of going, hey, we'll let it slide once, but when they keep showing up, we're like, you got to figure something out for us here. Or they call me and then I'll go out there and talk to them. But I've had a pretty steady crew back there the last couple months. It's tough to keep that staffed. So it's been getting better back there. There were a lot of contractors back there. We're working through getting a lot of the contractors out of there. I think the last few workers that I had back there didn't care as much. So overall, it's been going pretty good. A lot of yard waste right now. Crazy amount of yard waste with the storms coming through. So that's keeping us pretty busy. Drivers are tough to come by right now, so keeping boxes hauled out of there is always a challenge, especially with the amount of volume we've been getting. So, but overall, things are going pretty smooth. I'm working on getting PLM was supposed to do some warranty work for me, and it got rained out a couple weeks ago, and they were going to bring in some cold patch for me. That didn't seem to work out yet, so I'm working on another date to get them back in here. But we are planning to put some clay to reshape the stockpile where the yard waste is, just so that we can get some better drainage through there for when we have to mulch all that yard waste up. But that shouldn't really, there might be a little bit of effect on the residents just on where they're dumping, but overall we're not going to shut anything down. It's just going to be I got to grind the pile we got back there now, which we'll see today is gigantic, and then bring clay in at the same time, and also residents will be bringing in more yard waste. So it's going to be a tight window, and we're going to do what we can to make sure everyone's happy, but we got to get that reshaped a little bit so we get some better drainage going off there. Otherwise, the yard waste is kind of just sitting in some mush, and it's tough to process after the fact. So other than that, that's about all I have.
Any other questions from the board members? Not hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Comments or miscellaneous business, anybody have any? Not hearing none, it's November 3rd, 2020, and it'll be back at the City Hall. Yes.
I apologize. At the last meeting, I reminded the committee that they don't need to use JSA for the well sampling report. If you guys wanted to proceed, so I have provided a new contract.
And that's what we're gonna work on right now. I have it in front of me. As you know, Joe has been good and not raised his rates or anything over the last few years for us. Contract is the same as previous years. The only thing different is the date. Anybody want to look? You're more than welcome.
No, as long as it's the same as last year, I move to
Same.
approve.
The only thing I
Printed
got
one
a
just for
question
you,
on
Billy.
that for
You
is,
made one for me?
Just for you.
Hey,
Joe, you should take a little increase, 1% or something.
No. So 3 years ago,
Okay, I don't know this part. Go
3
ahead.
years, 3 years ago,
Okay, I don't know this part. Go
3
ahead.
years ago, we did raise our rates.
Okay.
And that caused this report to go from 450 to 5,000. The activities of the report really don't change. My level of effort isn't going to change. So as long as there's old and decrepit and everybody's on sewer, I've got like the same 30 wells every year. The thing that makes this more expensive is when I raise my rates overall for the business, or if the state changes the statutes. Well, that's not going to happen, especially not in current conditions. So every 5 to 10, especially not in current conditions. So every 5 to 10 years, the state takes a look at what is acceptable pollutant loading, and they may or may not make a change to the statutes. And the federal is the same way. The drinking water statutes aren't going to change in a long time, and the conditions that could possibly be in the wells from the landfill has been set down since 1970. So that's all what I'm working with. So really, it's just simply the same level, number of hours every year. And as long as my rates don't have to change to meet overhead and
Well, that's what I was saying.
all that, yeah, so, yeah.
Cost of living.
So, yeah, all that, yeah, so, yeah.
Cost of living.
So, yeah, I did have an increase to all the services I provide to all clients 3 years ago.
Okay, so what did you do, like a 5-year contract, or?
Oh, no, I've, I've tried to get the committee to submit 5 years under this, but Raleigh's really clever when it comes to finance.
You're calling me cheap. Yes.
I'm just saying because the cost of living jumped way up.
No, but see,
last year.
none of this stuff.
And you're
none of this
keeping the
stuff
rate the
affects-
same, so.
None of this affects me. I don't have to drive for this. You know, I don't have to do anything other than read and
Okay.
put together a report. I don't have to do anything other than read and put
Okay.
together a report. It does affect the landfill's expenditure. I'm sure Davies has hit you with a fuel surcharge or something to compensate for their costs.
Yeah, I think it was pretty close to what it was last year.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
I was just trying to.
No. I
Okay.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
You know, I think I got,
strap, are you?
yeah, because I think I got hit by you once or twice when I was a kid, so I still flinch, Rolly.
Quite a few times.
Any more questions for Joe regarding the contract?
No, I'm
My motion still stands.
Okay, to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. I'll sign the contract. And you can pass that down to Joe. Okay.
thank you. See, next
Okay.
meeting, get a report.
We have a scheduled meeting then for November 3rd. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. We have a tour of the landfill site now for any and all of those that want to go on it, okay?
Sure.
So the meeting is adjourned at